space to grow this program.
Syracuse has been a great team at home all season long. Great crowd on hand, and the Pitt Panthers will start with the basketball. Woolley Washingtons. For a young team that just had 4 returners from last season. Into the post, Isabel Verajao. She's in the starting lineup today for the Orange, and whistle called, and Syracuse will have their first possession.
And it's great work down low from Verajao, boxing out on Ayadel. That's something that Coach Jack stressed in the postgame presser against Duke.
Different lineup than we've been accustomed to seeing for the Orange. Dyaisha Fair, Georgia Woolley, Elena Rice. They've been consistent, but Sanaya Wilson and Kyra Wood out, Isabel Verajao and Alyssa Latham in. Rice trying to get some separation, and the freshman Latham with the first shot of today. That's long, but the offensive rebound for Georgia Woolley. Gets her second offensive board, and she's fouled.
And that'll be something that pleases Coach Jack, recognizing that Woolley down low, working in the paint, even as a guard, finding a way to be scrappy and get those 2 offensive rebounds.
She is a great rebounding guard, almost 5 per game, but this is a Syracuse team that really wants to crash the boards after their most recent loss against Duke. They were out-rebounded 52-25 in their most recent loss to the Blue Devils. Latham going back to work. A little stutter step from Woolley, drops it off to Verajao, couldn't get the pass clean. Shot clock winding down, and a mid-range shot for Woolley. First bucket of the day.
And that's great recognition there from Verajao, knowing that she didn't have much time, getting that ball across the court and finding Woolley wide open.
This Pitt lineup has been pretty consistent throughout. Liatu King, first points of the day, counted and one.
And Griffin, that's what we've talked about already with Liatu King, being able to drive down low through the paint, embracing contact as you see on the replay, working along the baseline and just getting a little bit of contact there from Alyssa Latham.
Liatu King averaging just under 19 points per game right now. Has the opportunity today to hit now her 97th free throw on the year. She gets to the line. She is an inside the perimeter type scorer. She has never had a 3-point field goal opportunity in her career. Don't see that a lot these days. Fair's first shot is off, but a feisty loose ball, and we're going to have a jump. Syracuse will have the possession arrow.
Griffin, you saw Elena Rice not being afraid to get her hands dirty. Ayadel coming off the floor, she had the ball, and that was something Coach Verdi talked to us about pregame, was rebounding is that one area where you're allowed to be selfish on the basketball court.
Wants his players to have that will. Go get the boards, and especially against a Syracuse team that is one of the better rebounding teams in the conference. Skip pass to Elena Rice. Syracuse working on their ball movement. And Georgia Woolley with the off-balance shot. Another chance, but coming away with it is King.
She's right there underneath the basket in prime position, boxing out on Woolley. That's textbook from Liatu King.
Washington drops it off to Ayadel. King trying to go to work on the freshman Latham. Spins off, gets the shot up, that's strong. Other offensive rebound, shot up, and a whistle blown. And Rafalushi Ayadel will take 2 at the line.
And again, Griffin, Ayadel, right place, right time, boxing out on Verajao. That's something that Coach Jack is probably going to be a little bit frustrated about, given the size difference and Verajao having that advantage. But a credit to Ayadel not being afraid of the contact and going up against someone who's a few inches taller.
Well, first substitution of the day as Alyssa Latham will go to the bench. Kyra Wood checks in for the Orange. Ayadel, very interesting story. She's been to 3 different either community college or junior colleges. Started off at Independence Community College. If you like the series Last Chance U, that was based on that school, and then Eastern Florida State and Indiana River State last year as an All-American, as she missed that last one.
And over her 3 years in the junior college ranks, she had 53 double-doubles, so certainly capable of scoring and rebounding.
Syracuse currently down by 2. Seen improved ball movement. It was a lot of ISO ball in the loss against the Blue Devils. Want to play much more team-oriented basketball. Shot clock winding down, already on 5 for Dyaisha Fair with the high screen from Verajao. Drops it off, Elena Rice for 3. Ayadel with the rebound over Verajao. Back to King. Head position on Kyra Wood. Sanaya Wilson will also check in for SU on the next dead ball. King goes to her left, another drop-off pass. Iredell will have another trip to the line, so foul trouble early for Syracuse in the front court.
And it's because of the forward play from Iredell along with Liatu King. Constantly rotating, this Syracuse defense needs to have its head on a swivel moving forward and try to eliminate those fouls.
Iredell, 1 for 2 in her opportunities. Coming into the day, 53 for 83, just about 65% from the line. And this is something, too, for Pitt. That's a great way to gain momentum early. They're a team that struggles in the first quarter. They've been outscored by 110 points on the season. So just getting your feet wet and getting the ball in the basket.
And if you can find ways to get that lead, slowly increase it, whether it's from the perimeter or from the free throw line, that's going to put the pressure on the Syracuse Orange after Thursday night's performance against Duke, trying to bounce back. That pressure slowly but surely going to mount.
Georgia Woolley surveying her options. Kyra Wood to the cup and gets it to fall.
And it's a great dribble drive there from Kyra Wood, recognizing she had the space to move in centrally. As soon as she ran into a little bit of a wall, she floats it up and hits nothing but net.
King on the perimeter, the little stutter step to the hole, and last touched by Syracuse, as it was Sanaya Wilson, first time we've mentioned her in the ballgame.
And Sanaya Wilson there playing strong defense, just put her hands up, was ready for King to run into her, but got hand the ball, and now we play on.
That's a quick pass inside, and we're seeing a lot of work down low for Rapalucci Iredell.
And Iredell didn't even start last game against Wake Forest, but Coach Verdi was certainly pleased with how she's continued to perform all season and gave her the start today.
Woolley for 3, that's off the mark as well. So Syracuse still trying to find their mark from the perimeter. Pitt on the other side, they're getting out in transition on these misses. That one rattles home Erin Battle, another talented freshman guard that this program can build around.
Erin Battle just working her way inside there, getting that floater to go. And Griffin, Erin Battle from Sewell, New Jersey, just 20 minutes away from Camden, where Syracuse football head coach Fran Brown is from.
That's a travel called on Dyaisha Fair on the hop steps. So Syracuse down 6 early, already 4 minutes through this one. Very reminiscent of the Pitt game, where he just didn't get out to a great start, and it's all about the response now for the Orange. Syracuse trying to stifle the Panthers, but still a nice shot off for Liatu King. She's already finding her offensive rhythm.
And King just continues to work down in that paint, finding a home there and getting those layups to go each and every time.
The zone implemented by Pitt. Rice had a shot for a second, instead will have the jumper. She was fouled on the attempt by Battle. Also had Georgia Woolley open in the corner, but decided to shoot it herself.
And sometimes, you know, Griffin, you've got to be a little bit selfish. Even though Woolley was open in the corner, Rice recognized she had the space, drew the contact, and Coach Jack said Thursday after the Duke loss that everybody on the team has the equal green light to shoot. So I don't necessarily see Coach Jack disapproving of Rice's opportunity.
Elena Rice connects on the first, a 78% free throw shooter. In her 5th year, she'll also be commemorated after the game, the longest tenured player in this Syracuse program. That's 2 for 2. It was a 6-0 run for Pitt, halted by the Rice free throws. Another full court press for Coach Leggett Jack's squad. Setting up the half-court offense for Marley Washenitz. King getting a lot of attention. Shot clock already at 3, drops it off, and foul called, and it will go the other way. The bump by Iredell.
Iredell just trying to work there down low, but getting a bit too physical.
It's been all Pitt, up by 6 in the early going. Trying to play stunner against number 17 Syracuse inside the dome. Well, the stars are out for senior day in Syracuse, the weekend trip for Mike Tirico. It's great seeing him yesterday, talking to some students, but Drew, it's been all Pitt early and kind of defying the odds of their offensive struggles so far this season.
And that's something that Coach Verdi has really talked a lot about, just continuing to go out there and battle. This Pitt team likes to work the ball down low. Liatu King, Rappalucci, Iadell combining for 10 of the 12 Panthers points so far. And it's something that Coach Jack and company are really going to have to focus on over the rest of this first quarter and down the stretch.
Pitt already shooting 57%. Syracuse, they're 2 for 8 in their field goal tries up to this point. As Dyaisha Fair still with the goose egg, about 5 minutes in to this contest. Another skip pass, and that's deflected by the spark plug off the bench for Pitt. Bella Perkins, a player that played 2 years at USC, and Coach Verdi really wants to see her offensive dimension continue to grow.
And Bella Perkins has really taken a step forward over the last 3 games in double digits in each of them, and just now continues to get more minutes off the bench.
Look at that extra pass, one too many from Wilson to Rice. The shot by Dyaisha Fair, splash!
Dyaisha Fair doing Dyaisha Fair things, now just 2 points away from moving into 5th all-time ahead of Brittany Griner.
It's been so many times this season where Dyaisha Fair makes one bucket that can change all of the momentum to Syracuse's way, and potentially that could be the one there.
She tried to do it Thursday night against Duke, but just could not get it to happen.
The offensive struggle for the entire SU team after that one missed, and Dyaisha Fair back up the floor. Just 2 points away from top 5. Woolley with the pump fake. Another shot that a late whistle is called, and Georgia Woolley also getting to the line. So maybe, Drew, that's one of the areas where Syracuse is really excelling, is at least drawing fouls early.
It is, and that's something that you're probably going to see a lot more of, especially with Coach Verdi utilizing this zone. The Syracuse guards especially are going to have plenty of space to drive inside, and then at that point it becomes fight or flight for this young Panthers team.
It was an inefficient day for Georgia Woolley last time out against the Blue Devils. Shot just 3 for 11 from the field. But before that, she had 2 of her best performances all season long. Back-to-back 20-plus point performances on the road at Miami and Virginia. Woolley's second is also good. A great free throw shooter, over 85%. Just a 1-point deficit for Syracuse, under 4 minutes left here in the first. Bella Perkins swinging it around the perimeter. Almost the open shot, driving to the cup, and Washington's, that shot is off. Kyra Wood comes down with the basketball.
And Griffin, Washington's did everything right there, just could not get enough on the shot.
Dyaisha Fair with the shot, that one can't rattle home, but Kyra Wood comes away with it, and another jump ball. This time it will go the Panthers' way.
Kyra Wood, Rappalucci, Iadell, that's a battle we're going to see all afternoon, and those two certainly are going to get tired of seeing each other, because they're going to constantly be in that situation of causing jump balls.
Bella Perkins now decides to bring the ball up as Georgia Woolley, she's just a menace. She'll pick up the other team's point guard the entire length of the floor. King, too easy to the cup, and that's when help side defense is a little too late, and a foul called on Sanaya Wilson.
And almost right away, you can still see Sanaya Wilson tapping her chest to say, that's all me. And Sanaya Wilson just wasn't home at the right time. King saw the space and said, thank you very much, and now gets a trip to shoot 2.
King, 5 points already here today. Player that was under 10 points per game as a junior, and that just skyrocketed to almost 19 per game. And it's just one of the huge bright spots for this program so far this year. 4th in program history with over 1,000 points, 700 rebounds, and 100 blocks and steals. Second one rattles home as she goes 2 for 2. More substitutions coming in as we'll see Sophie Burrows for the first time. Wilson checks out, going with a little bit of a smaller lineup as Pitt also continuing to pick up full court. Burrows, long pass to Fair. Initially tipped by King. Gonna set up the half-court offense for SU. Kicked over to Woolley. There's a shot by Burrows in the corner, nothing but net. Back to a tie game at 14.
Sophie Burrows, great recognition there, catch and release. And Coach Verdi told us that he wants this Syracuse team to play half-court offense. The defense did everything right, but Burrows just got it to go.
King shots off. Pitt hasn't had a field goal in over 3 minutes. Trying to take the lead now for the Orange. Lena Rice, wide open, another triple. And strong, offensive rebound not corralled by Burrows. It's under 2 minutes left here in the opening frame.
Griffin, you talked about it, that three from Dyaisha Fair having the chance to flip this game on its head. It's done exactly that, as it's been all Syracuse as of late.
Perkins fakes the extra pass. Back inside, Iadell swatted away by Kyra Wood. Syracuse in transition. Back to Fair in the corner. Another shot off the mark. Sophie Burrows can't get the basketball either. Back go the Panthers.
Little hot potato down there. Nobody wanted to claim possession.
It's a gritty game. Dyaisha Fair up to Georgia Woolley, the up and under. That's no good, and she came down hard. Still trying to get up. She's in a whole lot of pain. No foul called there. As Pitt trying to regain the lead that they had for the majority of the first. Perkins, long three. Another shot off for Pitt as they're really starting to stifle offensively.
And this is just part of the inconsistencies of a young and inexperienced Pitt team.
Here's Fair again. Air ball, Perkins with the basketball, and foul called on the floor, and Georgia Woolley still tending to that eye area. Looks like on the up and under, might have came down and hit the hardwood.
Hit the hardwood and possibly got poked in the eye in the process, and Coach Jack certainly wasn't pleased.
On that attempt, trying to regain the lead, and Liatu King just kind of came down hard.
Got her in the eye with the follow-through as well.
So it's going to be Dyaisha Fair as Syracuse is in the bonus. Already 3 points here today. First one off the mark. Not a chance to tie Brittany Griner in these free throw attempts. There's that one. Well, the next point is when we'll hear a whole lot of action inside the dome. A chance for a 2-and-1 here for the Panthers. Battle hearing the play call from Coach Verdi. Malcolm still held scoreless so far. Back to King. Sophie Burrows on it. Gets the help defense. Shot was not even off in time. Long pass up the floor. Dyaisha Fair realizes 9 seconds left. Iso with King from way downtown. Off the mark. Chance to put it back up. Sophie Burrows' shot is not off in time. And after going back and forth, Syracuse has the lead after the first.
By people across the country saying that these are mid-major players, and Dyaisha Fair has picked up right where she left off at Buffalo.
Syracuse with the 1-point lead. They'll start off with possession. Kennedy Perkins, first time we've seen her today. As mentioned during the first quarter break in the arena, now tied top 5, and it's just amazing to see the Syracuse faithful give Dyaisha Fair the respect that she deserves.
And it's one of those things that makes this Syracuse community so special. Everybody rallies behind one another, supports each other in every single aspect of athletics and academics as well.
Here's Dyaisha Fair, for the record, no good. Now up the floor, one-on-one battle with Woolley on her. That layup attempt was strong, but King comes away with it, and there's a foul underneath the basket. Pitt's done a great job so far, at least drawing fouls, and when they get to the line, they're 6 for 7, but other than that, they continue to miss from the floor.
And that's something that you know Coach Verdi is going to want to improve upon. You cannot win basketball games by only being able to sink free throws. Free throws are important, but there's got to be other ways to score.
So Malcolm, an elite three-point shooter. Another miss for the Panthers. Much more balanced attack offensively so far for Cuse. Fair with just 4 points, seeing contributions up and down the roster. Kyra Wood puts up a shot, rejected away by Gabby Hutchinson. Pitt still another chance to regain the lead that they had for the majority of the first quarter. Bella Perkins trying to create some offense on the midi jumper.
And that's why Bella Perkins is so dangerous. Coach Verdi loves using her off the bench because she makes plays just like that and creates a spark out of absolutely nothing.
She gets her first 2 points of the afternoon. Pitt continuing with the zone. It was interesting to see how Pitt was trying to at least defend Dyaisha Fair. Were they going to face guard her like a team like Louisville tried to, or even Miami just a few games ago? There's always just one dimension that you can take away from Dyaisha Fair. There's just so much that she can do. As a coach, what can you do?
It's one of those things where you just try to limit her as much as possible, and you've got to switch it up. Sometimes you face guard her, other times you don't. Keep her guessing, keep her on her toes, and that's really the recipe for success, to limit Dyaisha Fair as much as possible.
She's 1 for 7 from the field, 1 for 5 on threes. She does lead the country in three-point field goals attempted, second in the country in makes. She continues to try to go to the paint and at least get foul calls, but not on Aaron Battle's watch.
As you see here on the replay, Woolley again working on Battle. Battle holding her ground, swatting that away, and took a little bit of a touch off of Woolley along the baseline, and Pitt will benefit from that by getting possession.
Battle now her 9th block of the season. As a freshman, she's really started to get into her own. Started the last 4 games. She was in and out of the starting lineup for a little bit, but again, it's some of those growing pains for a young rebuilding program. Battle thought about pulling the trigger. A lot of reserves out there right now for Pitt. Hutchinson, another shot for the OSU transfer off the mark. Syracuse's turn to try to regain the lead. Sophie Burrows, top of the arc. Another miss. These are the times where, if you're Syracuse, one of the better offenses in the conference, here's just nothing that they can find clicking right now.
And it was the same thing against Duke. Got good looks, couldn't get the shots to fall.
Battle another miss. It's like a hard foul, and Coach Jack doesn't like it. Bella Perkins from the parking lot.
Bella Perkins showing off her range, getting that kick out, and just heaving it up as she shows everyone that, yeah, Dyaisha Fair might be a good shooter, but so am I.
She has the only 5 points for either team 3 minutes in to the second quarter. Rice dishes it off on the bounce pass, and Nia Wilson can't have her touch. Same time in the game, like you mentioned, Drew, where the wheels started to fall off for SU against a great defensive Duke squad. Pitt not really known as a defensive unit. Hutchinson pulls up from the free throw line. That's strong. Another offensive rebound, the 4th of the day for Pitt.
And to your point, Griffin, you can imagine that this is something Coach Jack talked about, recognizing that this was that tipping point, trying to avoid that same mistake.
Front iron there on Perkins. It was almost the same spot as her last made three. Sophie Burrows back to Woolley. Dyaisha Fair. Another kick out to Woolley in the corner. Same place as her Aussie teammate Sophie Burrows, but that one can't hit. Pass up court to Malcolm. In a game right now where the slow tempo really playing into Pitt and what they're trying to do. Syracuse, a team that loves to get out in transition, and when they're not hitting these shots, it's almost making that insurmountable comeback. Dyaisha Fair coming the other way. She gets her pocket ripped by Battle. Another fight on the floor. Iredell had it, and a lot of jerseys flying all around. Timeout on the floor. We got a wild one as Pitt trying to play stunner against Syracuse here inside the JMA Wireless Dome.
Hey, look at this. What?
Efficient three-point shooting has been a key for Syracuse all season long. They're shooting 2 for 11 from behind the arc, and a Pitt team that is ranked 340th in the nation in three-point defense.
And Griffin, that's something that I'm sure Coach Jack is going to want to change sooner rather than later. Three-point shooting is one of the things that really bolsters this Syracuse offense to make it one of the most elite in the ACC. And without that, you can just see that there's not the same spark. It starts with Dyaisha Fair, but Georgia Woolley can be involved. We've seen Sophie Burrows attempt a couple of triples, so everybody has the green light to go out there and shoot.
Syracuse now down by 4. Still trying to get their first points here. Maybe that timeout would be what SU needs. Malcolm pass inside to Idell. King trying to keep the basketball alive, was swarmed by defenders, and Isabel Verajao had the foul, and Coach Jack not a fan of the call.
And Verajao looked to be in the right place at the right time. A little bit grabby before the shot went up, but I don't see a whole lot there in the process of the shot. Maybe caught King with the follow through, but that would be about the only thing I could see as to the justification for these free throws.
King connects on the first. Already now 8 points for her. And a lot of her damage from the free throw line. Above 75% on the season. That's her first miss of the afternoon. Down by 5 for Cuse. Woolley trying to get open on the play. Back to Fair. 8 left on the clock. Putting on the dribble moves. 4 left. Now here's Verajao. Putting the move on in the post and got it ripped away. Shot clock violation. So now it'll be an inbound for Pitt instead of on the fast break.
And you can almost see the sigh of relief from Coach Jack, recognizing that Pitt was ready to go 2-on-1 the other way. Not that she's happy about the shot clock violation, but it certainly could have gone from bad to worse.
There have not been many times this season where Syracuse has looked so out of sorts offensively. Almost to the top of the chart, and now it's in back-to-back games at the time of the year where you're supposed to be playing your best basketball.
And to the point you mentioned earlier about this slow pace, it's really helping Pitt.
As you can see with another made field goal for King. Double digits, first player to eclipse that so far today. Coach Verdi said he watches a lot of film and he thought he knew what to do against this team. Fair follows her miss. Here's Woolley. That one hits. Sigh of relief from the three-point line for Syracuse.
And Griffin, if at first you don't succeed, try again. That was the exact motto there for the Orange. Fair had the original effort. Woolley gets a turn and says, let me try it.
Offensive foul, and Georgia Woolley does it on both ends of the floor. Draws that offensive foul with the arm bar.
And you see Washington's just trying to gain separation as Woolley was all in her face, and look at that smile. She knew what she was doing.
You mentioned how Dyaisha Fair can turn momentum, but Georgia Woolley can do it. And she's done it a lot on the defensive end of the floor with steals 90 feet away from the basket or plays like that. Was fouled by Malcolm. Instead gets that jumper to fall on the left elbow.
And Woolley really starting to heat up now.
Now we have another jump ball. It'll stay with Pitt, but this game is getting real chippy.
And you can see the tension starting to flare. This is that rivalry we talked about in the pregame, going back to the Big East. These teams, to put it blank, put it simply, they do not like each other. And when tensions start to flare up, the pace in which they escalate is just going to get much higher and higher as it goes on.
Two teams from the Big East days, feels like
previous players on you.
Brawls. As they're gonna actually look at this to see if maybe there's some extra pushing and shoving on the floor.
And as Washington was getting up, she did appear to throw her arms out as if something came in late from a Syracuse perspective. Didn't see anything from our vantage point originally, but perhaps maybe another angle we could get to confirm that.
So coming off the inbound, it was a pass that was kind of off the mark, but Lena Rice first one to it. Her and Washenitz, remember, she was just in a play with Georgia Woolley on the ensuing possession.
And after the whistle sounded, he got a little push in the back there at the very end from Elena Rice. That was what Washenitz was outraged about. Is it necessarily enough to upgrade it to a flagrant? I don't believe so.
Here's a look at the actual rule book for a flagrant one call, and it has to be that excessive or unnecessary movement. Maybe the push from behind is what they're looking for to upgrade this foul call.
And that certainly could be the case, as Rice put her hands right in the numbers of Washenitz as she was trying to get up.
Washenitz, a very passionate and energetic type player. She has the most drawn charges in the ACC with 32. Nobody else is even close to that. So kind of similar to Georgia Woolley, as a menace defensively, and times like this is more times than not in some of those scuffles.
Sometimes, Griffin, the best thing to do is be a thorn in your opponent's side, and Washenitz certainly has that potential. Woolley has the capability of doing it too, and just got our first glimpse of it here.
Looks like we'll have our official review come to a close. So basically, it's all going to be a wash, 2 intentional fouls, and with the jump ball between Rice and Washenitz.
And at the end of the day, Griffin, I think that's the right call. Sometimes you just gotta let these women play. There wasn't anything excessive there at the very end. Yeah, there was the push in the back, but it wasn't excessive force, and at the end of the day, you just gotta let this one run its natural course.
So now all of our referees explaining to both respective coaching staffs what is going on. But even a good time for both of these teams to also just take a deep breath. It's been back and forth and offense hard to come by. And sometimes in these longer breaks, that's really when you can get back to the basics, if you will.
It is, and I can imagine that's a lot of what Coach Jack is telling her
After review,
team.
we got an intentional foul on white 25, an intentional foul on 11 blue. They both cancel out, and we're gonna have the bold AP arrow.
Well, we got the hot scoop before that even happened. But now the entire crowd, they're not a fan. They would much rather see it go towards Syracuse's way. But like you mentioned, Drew, I think that's the right way to go about it.
Just gotta let things breathe. Don't put fuel on the fire. And to the officials' credit, they got it right.
So Pitt crosses the timeline up 2. About 3 minutes left in the first half. Both teams struggling offensively. A lot at stake for Syracuse, and Pitt just trying to play spoiler. No foul called as it was thrown up at the net, and Syracuse will have possession.
And once again, Griffin, it was King trying to work her way, slipping and sliding between several Orange defenders. Just ran into a brick wall. Took a hard fall in the process, but Syracuse able to come away with possession, and this could potentially be that spark plug this Orange team has been looking for.
Been down for the majority of this game against a team with just 2 wins in conference play, both coming on the road against Virginia and Clemson. Lost last time out to a winless Wake Forest team. They've shown glimpses, but trying to put together a full 40 minutes. Sanaya Wilson going to work, finds Dyaisha Fair. Georgia Woolley thought about it, will pull the trigger, and connects. 2-3 gains the lead.
Just great recognition from Georgia Woolley, realizing that Dyaisha Fair was in a little bit of trouble. Right place, right time at that left wing. Thought about it, then went with her gut, and it paid off.
It's an 8-0 run for SU. Ball deflected by Woolley. She has her fingerprints all over this basketball game. Team's leading scorer already with 12, outscoring the rest of her team combined. A late second quarter rally. This was the same thing in their first meeting. They went on an 11-0 run to take the lead at halftime, but not on Liatu King's watch.
Plenty of space down there near the block and just hit the spin around jumper.
SU back down 1. There, still stationary at 4 points. Lena Rice creates some separation. On the wing, no good. Jump ball forward, and Ayadel continues to just rack up rebounds for Pitt. Perkins, her second three of the day made. Continuing to have a little bit more of a cushion for the Panthers.
Perkins just kind of camped out in that corner, went unnoticed, and she made the Orange pay for that.
Looked like they were trying to slow it down anyway, but when you have nobody on Perkins, that's the right play to make. Foul called on the bump for Perkins as Rice went to the hole.
And to that point, Griffin, it's all about finding the right balance. Even when you want to slow it down, if you got the option to shoot and put up points, you do it. It allowed Pitt to double its advantage and possibly end the half on cruise control.
1:06 left, still 20 left on the shot clock for SU. Back up to Rice with a whole lot of room. Couldn't catch it clean though. Fair with battle on her. Hop step layup, gets it to go. Fair continues to climb the leaderboard, passing Brittany Griner for 5th on the all-time scorers list.
And that one officially does it. Fair dealt with a lot of contact, squeezing her way between a couple of Panthers and had that one roll in off the glass.
Perkins, gotta give her a heat check now.
Bella Perkins just continuing to stay hot. I mean, that's the second three-pointer in as many possessions as of late, just finding ways to get that space, and when she does, she makes the Orange pay.
Anytime Pitt has seen maybe Syracuse regain some momentum, they shut the door right back. 10 left in the first half. Drop-off pass. Here's Rice again. Another shot off. Kyra Wood couldn't come away with it. Instead, it's Bella Perkins. And that'll do it for the first 20 minutes of action. Pitt putting the rest of the
far of containing Dyaisha Fair.
Syracuse came out of the tunnel very poised and maybe a little bit more energy on the Pitt side. We'll see how that will factor in the final 20. Georgia Woolley tied for a game high 12 points with Liatu King. Another stutter step move, the pull-up jumper strong. Offensive rebound creates another fast break. Battle gets it up, and first points go the Panthers' way.
Syracuse got caught in transition. Nobody in the backcourt besides Dyaisha Fair, and Panthers made the Orange pay.
Alyssa Latham back on the floor, only played 2 minutes. And there's Sophie Burrows coming off the bench, maybe being a spark plug like Bella Perkins is on the Pitt side.
And it's something that the Orange are going to need more of. It can't just be Woolley and Fair leading the way. Other players are going to have to step up. Burrows trying to put the spotlight on her a little bit here in the second half.
Already has 2 threes. Extra pass, Malcolm, high arcing shot. King with the offensive board. Puts it up herself, and it was rejected at first. That's going to be a jump ball. It will stay with Pitt.
King held her ground down low, but the Syracuse defense recognized that it was a time to force a jump ball, get a little bit of a reset, and now hope to get that next stop.
Back to Malcolm, player that they really want to get going as a sophomore. A lot of potential for this Pitt Panther program. 5 left on the shot clock. King going to work, up and under, no good. Kyra Wood comes away with it. And a foul as well. It'll be on King.
King and Wood going toe-to-toe, and Griffin, that to me just screams frustration foul. Upset that you didn't get the rebound and lash out a little bit too much and end up drawing a foul in the process is Kyra Wood, who will certainly not be complaining.
Kyra Wood, maybe a little undersized at points, but still, she is such an elite level rebounder. anytime she's on the floor. Top 10 in the conference. Another top 10 rebounder, Alyssa Latham, pulls up and has her first points.
Dealt with a little bit of pressure in the back from Bella Perkins, but it didn't matter to her. She found her way inside, floated the jumper, and now Syracuse trying to rally a little bit here in the early stages of the third.
Pitt up to about 2 minutes in. Bella Perkins had 11 points off the bench in the first half, trying to add to that total with a 3, and hits nothing.
Perkins likes that spot on the left wing. That's been her sweet spot. It was there much of the first half and just didn't get quite enough on it on that attempt.
Already made a few deep threes, but didn't connect on that attempt. Woolley, she'll try her luck. Board by Perkins. Tipped by Burrows, but Pitt remains with it. Coach Verdi has to be very pleased with his team thus far. Some of the up and downs in his first year at the helm, but really playing collectively on both sides of the floor. A balanced offensive attack, but a turnover. Burrows thought about it, instead she'll be called for the travel. She didn't set her feet.
And that's, in a way, a huge break for the Panthers. Coach Verdi wanted to avoid having Syracuse get out in transition. The Orange tried to do exactly that, and fortunate that they called Burrows for the travel.
And it's interesting, too, because Syracuse has gotten out in transition, but they haven't hit their shots when they've been in that position.
It's just all comes down to execution. Syracuse hasn't been able to do that, and unfortunately, the Orange are hitting a downturn at the wrong time of the season.
Trying to get that energy back up that's mostly the key to their success. Really hit anything on that jumper by King, but second chance opportunity now for the Panthers. King going with it again. That's too easy.
Stole the words right out of my mouth, Griffin. Liatu King just weaving her way between a couple of defenders. Very minimal resistance, and a player like Liatu King is going to make you pay.
Sophie Burrows. Another strong attempt on that left wing. Pitt trying to slow it back down. Play their style of basketball. This is only a team that averages about 62 points per game. That's second worst in the ACC. Another hard bump. Perkins, she'll step into that one. Barely hits the front iron. Another offensive rebound, though, for Pitt. Get this offense set up for Perkins. Back down low to King. In the triple threat, no good. Last touch by Kyra Wood, and a lot of time so far in this second half has stayed on the offensive side for Pitt.
And that's a credit to the Panthers and their ability to fight for rebounds as well. You see Kyra Wood taking a little bit of a finger to the face there, but had the ball swatted out of her hands, and just the Orange can't find a way to bring in those rebounds.
Pitt now leads the rebound battle 24-23. They actually have less offensive rebounds. That was a crafty move and a late whistle. Even though the Panthers are 1 for their last 7 from the floor, they still have a 4-point lead. And this was almost the glue at the beginning of the game, was getting to the line, just seeing the ball go through the basket to begin the game, as that's really how we started to see Liatu King become the game-high scorer.
And if it's not broke, you don't fix it. That's what Coach Verdi is trying to preach to his team right here. Stick to what worked early in the first quarter. Don't get away from our game, and the rest will take care of itself.
Put on a clinic so far today at the free throw lines. Only missed one attempt after making those 2 from the charity stripe. 6-point game. And almost a 3-minute scoring drought for SU. Good pass in by Kyra Wood, and drawing the foul, Alyssa Latham now goes to the line.
Kind of what we saw earlier with the slide defense not working to plan for the Orange. Now we see the flip side of it. Ayadel caught napping a little bit there in the center of the paint. had to resort to the late contact on Latham, who now gets a trip at the line.
Idell, you have to watch out for her. Already 3 fouls, fouled out of her last game. She's a player with so much potential, but can't play a sustainable amount of time because of that.
It's all about finding that right balance, continuing to work through those growing pains that Coach Verdi talked about.
Latham makes them both and now has 4 points in just 3 minutes. Was held to under 2 minutes of play in the first half, even though she started the game. Intercepted by Fair in the passing lane. Fair puts on the speed boost, somehow gets to Kyra Wood. Ooh. Looks like that will go Syracuse's way after quick consideration.
You see it here on the replay. Little bit of a scrum. Idell and Kyra Wood getting physical, and you can see why the officials maybe thought it came off of Wood with the little reach around, but ultimately getting the call right.
It's a Latham who had it herself, even though Burrows was wide open, fouls her shot, and second time's the charm for the freshman.
And credit to Latham there for sticking with it. Didn't panic after the first shot was a little bit short. She trusted herself, her ability to knock in the jumper, and did just that.
Almost a backcourt violation by Washington. Georgia Woolley continues to be such a menace. Making a great place for ACC Defensive Player of the Year. Might not have the stats for it, but just her impact alone. There's a blow by. Somehow getting to Malcolm, puts up the 3 before the shot clock, and Alyssa Latham gets the rebound over Fair. Another long foul away from the basket by Battle. Syracuse making a little bit of a run, down 2 with 4:25 left in the third. We'll be back in just a minute.
We're the Ghostbusters. It's our job.
We already talked about Mike Tirico, but how about Deborah Tirico in the house? A 4-year teammate of Coach Felicia Leggett-Jack, a team captain, not maybe a star player, but a glue to the program, especially in the late 80s for Syracuse.
And sometimes those glue players are just as important as the stars.
And how about Isabel Verajao's mother, Simone, traveling all the way from Brazil to see her senior day, and we've seen Isabel Verajao in the starting lineup, came back from injury after missing about 2 months, and even though she hasn't spent a whole lot of time on the court since the beginning of conference play, she has been so huge for the culture of this program. Latham with the miss, and Pitt with another chance to grow their 2-point lead. Syracuse cutting the deficit with play from other players other than Fair and Woolley. It's been Latham, and it's been the go-to option for Pitt with King. Puts up another shot, that's off, but another offensive rebound for the Panthers. Another quick pass inside, sneaking past the defense, and you can't leave King alone underneath the basket.
Syracuse just got caught napping. I mean, King was wide open, standing there on I-90. And it was, to Erin Battle's credit, a great read, finding it down low.
Dyaisha Fair is still looking for her first points in the second half. Definitely a second half player. Two-hand bounce pass to Wood with the contact. Nice finish by Wood.
Kyra Wood working with the contact, but it didn't matter. She made it work, and we just talked about the feed down low on the other side, and now we get one from Syracuse.
There will be a timeout on the floor from Coach Verdi. It all started with that last possession for SU with some extra passes, the bounce pass by the freshman Burrows, and through the contact, Kyra Wood.
And you can just see Burrows really working there down in the corner, had to thread the needle a little bit between 2 Pitt defenders, and Kyra Wood, right place, right time, made it happen.
Wood was held scoreless on her birthday last time out against Duke. Not really known for her offensive presence, averages about 6.5 per game, but already 6 rebounds today. She averages 7 on the year, and one of the best in the conference in that regard.
She makes her presence known in more ways than one, and today it's been a lot of rebounding for Kyra Wood, but That's something that Coach Jack stresses time and time again.
What about Liatu King? She's known for a whole lot more than just rebounding. It's scoring, it's her versatility that makes her average a double-double, and just so much fun of an old school type basketball player that's not making threes.
And it doesn't matter if you give King space or not. She's finding ways to hit those shots. You see there, working down low, easy layup off the glass, and when you give her that space, it makes her job that much easier. There's a reason why she's 10th in the country with those 15 double-doubles, 2 behind Angel Reese, 1 behind Caitlin Clark, the biggest names in women's college basketball.
And she needs just 1 more double-double to tie Chelsea Cole. She played back in the 2010-2011 season for the most ever in a season for Pitt and career. Very, very impressive stuff from King in her senior year.
She's certainly making her presence felt, and I talked about it a little bit ago. Being a thorn in your opponent's side, that's what King does down low. She finds ways to get on the ball, whether it's in the paint or just outside the paint in the perimeter, and gets those shots up.
So she's averaging 18 points on the year, and a big point of emphasis right now at this time of the year is you need players to step up as we take a look around the country. The one that really sticks out if you're a Syracuse fan is that Indiana upset win against number 4 Iowa. Syracuse and Indiana, they've been battling back and forth as a 4 or a 5 seed, and Drew, that means so much if you want to host the first and second round in the tournament.
It absolutely does. Indiana pulled off that upset against Iowa, and with the way that women's net rankings go, there is such a huge emphasis on road victories. And so for Syracuse, it doesn't really gain much if it wins this matchup. Losing it certainly hurts, but it's all going to come down to that next matchup Thursday against NC State on the road.
Those are some other notable upsets, with Baylor pulling out against WVU, and an Arizona win is a nice setup play. Malcolm gets on the scoreboard. Maybe another upset on our hands here in this one. 4-point Pitt Panther lead. Time winding down in the third. Coming out of the timeout, first possession for Syracuse is a turnover. Woolley back on defense with Battle. The left-hand layup somehow falls.
And Aaron Battle had plenty of space there after intercepting the pass and just made the Orange pay.
Pitt's made their last 3 field goals. They've went through spurts where they haven't shot very efficient, but even though they're not shooting efficient, Syracuse isn't either, so it's not really hurting them.
It all cancels out in the end, and Pitt's getting away with a lot as far as not being able to execute the offense, and on the flip side, Syracuse also a little bit lucky that this one's only a 6-point deficit.
Sophie Burrows, another triple. Another offensive rebound for Wood. No foul call, loose ball. Washington comes away with it. She'll hit the deck. And Pitt has to get this ball over, and they do. Awesome time for Malcolm and the rest of this Pitt offense to play to their strength. And you could see in the huddle, Coach Verdi really just trying to tell his players to slow it down and make sure that you continue to have command of this lead. They're in the driver's seat. They don't have to play like an underdog anymore. What a great finish by King.
Just again, doing what she does best, working down low, dealing with the contact, and fighting through it.
And a 4 shot by Fair. It's been an inefficient shooting performance for her thus far. It's 2 points so far in the second half, and looks like we have a whistle for... To be honest, I don't really know.
The last Pitt possession, Georgia Woolley got hurt fighting for the rebound. She was slow to get up, make her way into play defense, and that's the case that Coach Jack is trying to make. She said all 3 officials saw her fall down and saw her stay down, didn't blow the whistle due to an injury. And when you're down 8 points the way that Syracuse is, you've got to fight for anything, and that's what Coach Jack is doing. She's standing up for her team and her players.
Well, she just received a warning in the process. Doesn't want to get teed up. So much time left in this game, but Georgia Woolley heading to the bench. Battle-tested, bruises, and is on that left leg, but she wears that leg wrap on. Another spin move. Oh, my. Liatu King, you are filthy.
She just continues to work down low, feasting in the paint. It's something that the Orange knew they were going to have to defend coming into this, and so far haven't been able to do it.
Already has double-digit points in the second half alone. An 8-0 run for Pitt in the last 2 minutes to expand this lead to double digits.
Syracuse will be in the bonus.
Syracuse in the bonus that will result in 2 free throws for Elena Rice. Rice on the season averaging a little bit over 10 points per game. Thus far today, it's been held in check.
Hey, y'all pitch. 2 by yourself.
Makes the first, started her career at Florida A&M. Spent a year at Auburn and made her way to Syracuse. Now 4 for 4 on the day for Rice as Sanaya Wilson comes back into the ballgame. Syracuse has had multiple second half comebacks so far this year, as Pitt, with a substantial lead, trying to have their first ranked win since beating a number 17 Chattanooga team in 2015. And if you continue to have buckets like that, they might have that upset win.
And the Panthers just continue to shove Liatu King down Syracuse's throat. It doesn't matter that she's in double coverage down there in the paint. She makes it look easy and finds ways to get it done. It was Burrows and Wood working down there, didn't matter.
And does convert on the three-point play. 25 points, the largest lead of the day for King. Something about playing the orange in their first matchup in Pittsburgh. 27 points, certainly on pace to eclipse that here today. Talked about it in the pregame. 25 straight wins for Syracuse against Pitt could come to an end here in this one. Sophie Burrows answers with a 3 of her own.
And that's a huge momentum swing possibly for the Orange, getting a little bit of life in the final stages of this third quarter, just providing something down the stretch.
Another loose ball, somehow gets it to Malcolm, and oh! Elena Rice hits hard, no call. 8 seconds left, battles off. Burrows with the basketball, 4 left on the clock. Dyaisha Fair with some magic from way downtown, and it almost hits it. Officials again noted that she already does have a warning for being in the ref's ear. It's a passionate coach, a very gritty type game. With a whole lot on the line for SU. There's Dyaisha Fair, another shot that just can't find her footing here today.
It's been the story of the past 7 quarters for the Orange, just not being able to get the shots to go off the glass, off the rim, one way or another, not falling through, and the struggles continue.
Great ball movement by Pitt to open up the fourth. King somehow gets that pass off. 4 left on the clock, back to King. King turns to the basket. Another spin move and doesn't get it off. Shot clock violation, so standing tall on defense for SU, that hasn't been the issue. It's been more on the offensive end.
It has, and that's something that the Orange just have to take it 1 possession at a time. Down by 8 right now. Work the ball around like you saw Pitt just do. Get the open shots, and the rest will fall in place.
They're shooting under 29% in this game. Shot 25% against Duke. So something about this homestand for Syracuse. Things are not clicking. And it's a very important time for them if they want to be a double-bye team in the ACC tournament. If they want to have a home play or a home NCAA tournament game for the first and second round. These are games that you have to win. And these are times where you want to be playing your best basketball. It just hasn't been the case.
And for Syracuse, this is now a part of an 18-game stretch where Coach Jack said, you know, we've played Thursday, Sunday for over 2 months now in the conference schedule. And while she's not making an excuse for it, you can start to slowly see as the game progresses that the Orange are getting more and more tired.
Dyaisha Fair now with 10 points after 2 made free throws. Rice. Defense. Back in the post. King with another spin move. Extra pass to Malcolm. A lot of movement for Pitt, but it results in a turnover. Swiping it away by Alyssa Latham. 6-point game. Dyaisha Fair, pull up. Yeah! Silky smooth with the midi.
And that's what you need. Just taking one possession at a time, work the ball around, get those shots up.
It's going to be a foul call on Alyssa Latham, who completely ripped the ball in unison as she was passed by Erin Battle. Battle came down hard on her right shoulder. Looks like she was coming out of the game anyway for Bella Perkins, so we'll keep an eye on the freshman guard.
Taking another look at it here. Yeah, that was 100% just the way that Battle fell. It was nothing that Latham did to draw the contact, but staying with Pitt as Latham now with 4 fouls.
And with that 4th foul by Alyssa Latham, it's been in limited time. She's only played 6 minutes. Her impact has been felt, but it just needs to be sustained throughout. Almost backcourt violation. Liatu King, first one to touch it, gives a shove, and that's going to go the other way, and a whole lot of juice to this orange crowd.
And you can see the orange and the Panthers fighting for it right there on the timeline. With King and Burrows going back and forth. And then again, it's a frustration foul. King trying to gain a little bit of separation, getting too much extension of the arm, and well, you can see what Coach Verdi thinks about the call.
Now all of a sudden just a 4-point game with less than a minute in the 3rd quarter. It was an 11-point Pitt Panther lead.
And these momentum swings are what make this orange team so dynamic. The game can change in the blink of an eye. We're starting to see that here in the final 10.
Syracuse has the star power to overtake this game. Dyaisha Fair, Georgia Woolley sometimes play their best in these moments. Step back fell short. Loose ball, Elena Rice got on the floor, and it's gonna stay with Syracuse with a foul by Pitt.
They're gonna get Washington's late there at the very end, and a little bit of a fight for it. Washington's trying to force the jump ball, but came in at the wrong time, and now a fresh 20 on the shot clock for Syracuse.
Biggest thing right now for Pitt is they're already racking up fouls, and it could lead to an early bonus for Syracuse. Dyaisha Fair lets it fly in and out. Still the offensive rebound though. Syracuse, one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the country. Second chance points for Fair, yeah. 2-point game, Dyaisha Fair in the clutch.
She didn't let the missed 3 get in her head, found a way to stay on the ball, and just let that one fly.
Washington's hounded by Rice. We still have not seen Georgia Woolley in the 4th. Timeout called by Coach Verdi. Coach Verdi has to be careful. He might have a warning for himself.
And now you see Coach Verdi talking to the official, possibly in some trouble, but looking at the Panthers, Washington's with 4, King, Iredell, Battle each with 3. I mean, this is a scenario where if you're Syracuse, you've really got to drive in the paint, attack down low, and start to see some of these Panthers foul out.
And for Iredell, she has a game-high 10 rebounds and 5 points, and with those 3 fouls, she's been limited so far in the second half. Washington's with the 4 fouls, your best go-to guard, a 2-way player. It's not a good place to be if you're Pitt, with momentum going towards Syracuse's way.
Washington's especially because she's the point guard.
So we will decide to take a break. It's a 2-point game. Pitt trying to hold on.
What even is this? Don't touch my thing.
Fans inside the dome are on their feet, and maybe the biggest reason why is the play of Dyaisha Fair when it matters most in the second half, but mostly in the 4th quarter, already has 6 points, less than 3 minutes into it.
Players like Dyaisha Fair know when to come in the clutch and turn it up another notch. She's done that time and time again over the course of the season, and today certainly no exception.
4-point game, 7 minutes left. Senior day inside the dome. We will carry it after the conclusion of this game on ACC Network Extra. With the 5 players on SU. Shot clock winding down. Another second chance opportunity with the left for King.
Just cannot allow those second chance opportunities for the Orange. Plenty of space there to box out, but couldn't get it done. King fought for the rebound with the putback and slowly making this one more and more difficult for the Orange.
27 points. Her career high was earlier this year, 34. Sanaya Wilson putting the shoulder down off the mark and tangled up. Rice. Arm almost hyperextended there. That's very scary. With King.
And working down low, it was Sanaya Wilson originally, and Rice getting tangled up as King went for the board. Just wrong place there for Rice. Certainly grateful that, as you mentioned, Griffin, she didn't hyperextend that arm.
Elena Rice with the foul. She now has 2. Sanaya Wilson checks out of the game, and Latham and Wood back in for the Orange. Sophie Burrows, the perimeter defense for Syracuse, much improved, but inside it's been King getting to the cup. Off this time, Syracuse trying to regain the lead. They'll have their work cut out for them. Elena Rice puts on a move. Burrows in the corner, her hot spot. Another offensive rebound for Wood, but immediately turned over as Ayadel comes away with it.
And the Orange tried to force it a little bit too much there inside. As a result, Ayadel able to claim that rebound.
Second foul in the last minute for Elena Rice, called for the block. It's like maybe her foot got stepped on by Washington, so that's why she hit the deck. Nevertheless, another inbound play for Pitt.
That's exactly what it was. Rice stepping on Washington's foot, and you can see the Orange crowd was wanting that foul to be called on Washington's and got a little animated when it went the other way.
Georgia Woolley tried to get back into the game, but it was not in time before the inbound, so she's waiting at the scores table. Shot clock winding down. Malcolm gets open. Not having her shooting touch today. Malcolm just 2 points. Another move by Fair, drops it off, but King had the steal for a second, went off her dome, and remained with Syracuse.
And it looked like King was trying to get a foul called, not exactly sure what happened, that she hit the floor, and still trying to plead her case to say that she was tripped up.
Syracuse matching a smaller lineup of Pitt, with Kyra Wood subbing out for Georgia Woolley. 4 guards in for Cuse. That pass intercepted. Georgia Woolley, the intended target, not there. King puts up a shot. Can't get the jelly to go, but that one also misses. Ayadel, 3rd time, no good. Boxed out well by Latham, and a hard hit Rice and Ayadel.
Tempers continue to flare, Griffin.
Fast break points for Sophie Burrows. Big performance for the freshman.
Burrows just having plenty of space and making the most of it, getting this one possession closer.
Ball will stay with Pitt. Looks like that might have went off the shoe, or now they're also talking about the clock as well being an issue. This is a fiery, passionate game down the stretch, where Syracuse was maybe lackluster in terms of energy, but you can feel it right here.
You absolutely can. This crowd getting more and more into it, but both of these teams getting fired up and more fired up as the game progresses.
So Syracuse will have the basketball coach, Verdi. He's got to be weary. He's about to get teed up.
Griffin, I think we're in a race right now to see which coach gets teed up first.
Everybody at home, there we go. I was just going to say put it on your bets, but didn't even have time to. Coach Verdi teed up, giving even more energy for this SU crowd.
Coach Verdi just more and more frustrated. That call not going his way, continuing to bark over on that far side, and eventually enough is enough.
Still with a 2-point lead, but after the technical foul, Dyaisha Fair will go to the line. Syracuse was going to have the basketball anyway after the officials got together to change the ruling on that last possession. Fair's first from the line. Rattles in and out, second time today that's happened to the fifth-year guard from Rochester. So Syracuse isn't able to tie or get any points on the technical. Syracuse will still have the basketball, but a missed opportunity that you mostly don't see Dyaisha Fair not take advantage of.
And that might just be a saving grace right now for Pitt, because this is an opportunity for the Panthers to get another stop, keep some momentum that is slowly slipping away.
Woolley's drive will go Pitt's way as it was last touched by the Aussie. So an opportunity falls right in their lap, something that was out of their control on a coach technical. They can't get any points out of it.
And in a way, if you're Coach Verdi, you almost have to recognize that you got away with one there, because you can't find anything to give this orange team, and you almost gave them 2 points automatically.
Moschenitz trying to dance around the screen. Now she's double teamed. King puts her foot down, and it'll be a travel call. He's not a fan of it either.
King thought that she drew the defensive foul on Burrows, who didn't get her feet set, but in the end, one step too many, possession to Syracuse.
All about who can rise to the occasion in these moments. Pitt hasn't had many of them, but one comes to mind was at home against a ranked ND team that they ended up losing to by 5. Very similar situation. We know that Hughes can be the cardiac kids. Another loose ball, fight for it. And King has it. Less than 4 minutes left in the fourth. Still a 2-point game. Woolley almost with another steal. Trying to target King. A lot of attention on it. Extra pass. Ayadel. Great contest by Latham. Woolley thought about having it, didn't have numbers. ISO ball with Fair, little help on defense. Another pull-up jumper, rattles in and out. Alyssa Latham, left hand and one. A chance for the lead.
It's the right place at the right time, Griffin. The original shot rolled around the rim, out of the hands of Fair, and Latham down under, boxing out like Coach Jack preaches time and time again, gets it to kiss off the glass.
Alyssa Latham, no points in the first half. She's came to play down the stretch. And also converts on the three-point play. Syracuse up in front. It's been a long scoring drought for Pitt that has now amassed over 4 minutes. Back in fourth we go. Back inside to King. She's been double teamed all fourth quarter long. Still gets up a shot. I don't know how that wasn't a 3-second call. Nevertheless, 29 points for her.
That was certainly on the bubble of that 3-second call, but King got it done.
Oh, wow! Dyaisha Fair with the answer. Splash.
And Dyaisha Fair doing Dyaisha Fair things from way downtown, getting that shot, and Coach Jack animated on the sidelines.
So is Mr. Fair, who just came over. He told me before the game, you gotta call splash on her threes. Was just celebrating as Dyaisha. On her day, we'll let it fly from D. 17 points for her all season long. They've been cardiac cues. highlighted by that 19-point comeback when Dyaisha had her 3,000th point against the Tigers. They trailed by as many as 11 today.
And Griffin, you can just see how much she has really stepped up in this fourth quarter. Just 4 points combined in the second and the third, and has more points now in this quarter than she did each of the previous 3 combined. So again, Fair just finding ways to come in the clutch when it matters most.
She knows when her team needs her the most. And even after those 2 missed free throws, still has the confidence and the poise to hit a big shot as Syracuse goes up by 2. Almost a steal by Woolley. And a long scoring drought that was just upended in their last possession by Pitt. But immediately, Syracuse regained the lead. Less than 10 on the clock, an interception by Elena Rice. And it's going to be a travel on Rice, so Pitt will remain with the basketball.
And Griffin, Marley Washenitz got away with one there. She had no room to force that ball down low, did it anyways, went right into the hands of Elena Rice and got bailed out as a result of the travel call.
Pitt underneath the basket. Washenitz getting it to King. Been swarmed all day. This is a time for Malcolm to come up. Instead, it's the lefty. Way out. Sophie Burrows continues her impressive performance off the bench on that rebound. Already 9 points for Fair in the final frame. Now with the ISO, her favorite spot, gets it to go. Timeout on the floor, a 4-point Orange lead.
And Dyaisha Fair again working in that free throw line near the elbow. Contested again by Washenitz. Just enough separation. Rolls it around the rim. Little kiss off the glass, and she has been the story of this fourth quarter, ignited the comeback, and now Syracuse just 95 seconds away from scraping by with the win.
Dyaisha Fair doing whatever she can to make sure that this is not her last game inside the dome. Yes, it's the last of the regular season, but if she continues to play like this, they might have a very good shot to host the first and second round of the NCAA tournament.
It's all going to come down to how Thursday goes against NC State and how the ACC tournament goes coming up here in the next week and a half, 2 weeks. That's going to determine whether or not this Syracuse team gets the shot to host.
All of the Fair faithful making the short drive from Rochester to Central New York. Watching excellence of number 2 in white. 1:30 left, press on by the Orange. King almost got away with a walk. Wide open, Malcolm. She needs to hit, she can't. Rebound Latham. Syracuse now slowing the tempo down, trying to put the nail in the coffin.
Griffin, if you're Pitt here, you have to get a stop. You cannot let this game get to 6 or 7 points.
Are you kidding me? Oh, that would have tore the roof off the top of the dome. Still another chance off the offensive rebound. Less than a minute to go. Fair wants Marowitz herself. Whistle called. And that's going to be Marowitz's 5th.
Yep. Washenitz just got a little bit too physical. Recognized that Dyaisha Fair had gotten the better of her as of late. And now the Panthers are without their leader of the offense. I mean, this offense is set up time and time again by Washenitz, who now has to watch the final 45.5 seconds from the bench.
Washenitz out for battle, and off that foul, Fair goes back to the free throw line. Remember the last time she was at the stripe, went 0 for 2 on that technical. Doesn't matter now. Dyaisha Fair with a chance for another 20-point game. Bottom. 6-point Syracuse lead out of nowhere in the fourth quarter. Another timeout on the floor.
This Syracuse team just continues to revolve around Dyaisha Fair. She steps up when it matters most. Ice in her veins at that last free throw attempt. I mean, Griffin, she very easily could have let the last two get in her head and caused this still to be a 4-point game, but she threw it out and found a way to get involved.
All right, you take the ball out. You come to the middle. You set the screen for D. D comes here, you come here. G, you're gonna go back and come back down. Go back and shoot free throws. Okay, guys? One stop.
Little
Three
insight
possessions.
there
We're not giving up
in
no
the
three.
huddle for
All right,
Dyaisha
guys?
Fair. She's ignited a
Fight,
12-2
man.
run over the last 4 minutes, and today continued to climb up the leaderboard, passing Brittany Griner for 5th all-time in NCAA women's history.
It was a little bit of a slow start for Fair, but she turned on the Jets. And there's the free throw that ties it. A little bit later here, weaving her way inside to officially get herself in the top 5, and her fan base in full support here, just trying to cheer her and this orange team on.
And you know what I love there was, on her sign was Stitch from Lilo and Stitch. She loves it, has a plush animal, brings them everywhere. Maybe a good luck charm here in her final regular season game inside the dome. 5-second call, Syracuse basketball. Malcolm can't get it in.
And Griffin, that right there is the sign of an inexperienced team, not being able to gain separation in 5 seconds, and it's something that really hurts this Pitt team because those mental mistakes get the better of you eventually.
A 6-point game. Fair goes back to the free throw line. This has been, in the all-time series, 25 straight victories for the Orange over Pitt. A chance to break that for a young team that could really just catapult something, be the highlight of their season in year 1 of Coach Verdi's tenure. Instead, slipping out of their fingertips late.
And Griffin, Coach Verdi was not pleased with the decision from his team to foul Dyaisha Fair because he knows she's the best free throw shooter on this team, and she's certainly not the one that you want to keep sending to the line.
4 for 4 since going 0 for 2 from the line. Expanding on this SU lead. Malcolm pulls up from the free throw line. It's just not been her day, but it's been the day of the freshman Alyssa Latham in the second half. Frustration on King. And with the possession arrow going Pitt's way, they'll get it under the basket.
Coach Jack trying to plead a case that the Panthers were holding one of her players, but not getting that call.
Perkins hasn't had a 3 all half. That one also short. And Georgia Woolley swarmed by 3 Pitt players.
As soon as that shot missed, you knew the Panthers were going to foul, just continuing to send the Orange to the free throw line, and this one's going to come down to foul shots.
Another 5 fouls for Pitt. And it's going to be Gabby Hutchinson having to come into the game. Maybe not aware on the court. There you go. So battles out. And Hutchinson's in as Georgia Woolley has 2 attempts from the line to make it a double-digit game. Georgia Woolley had 12 points in the first half. It's her first in the second. Make it 2, why don't you? 63-53 Orange lead for the number 17 team in the country. That's almost intercepted by Alyssa Latham. So much heart and hustle from the freshman. She's been in and out of the starting lineup in ACC play, but showing that she will be a staple of this program for years to come.
She's got what it takes, just slowly getting accustomed to Division I basketball.
It's going to be a foul call trying to go through the screen. Drawn by King. Elena Rice picks up another. That'll be her fourth. 15.6 left. Pitt not giving up yet. Time ticking down. Kicked out. Malcolm again. High arcing shot. In and out. Just been one of those days for the Panthers. Perkins. Shot deflected by Sophie Burrows. And that's going to do it. 26 straight wins for Syracuse over Pitt in comeback fashion in the regular season home finale.